ladies and gentlemen, this is John here. I am coming into you from First Response Pest Control, and this is the Pest News. And we're bringing you some up-to-date news, well, kind of up-to-date news, but some things that you maybe need to become aware about. So myself and Jeff are going to be talking about hornets, believe it or not.
There we are.
How dangerous they can be, but in particular, the Asian hornets, which seem to be a massive problem. Now, obviously, Jeff, you and I know how these can be really dodgy.
Oh, yes.
For especially, before we go into the Asian hornets, let's talk a little bit about the dangers of hornets for families and pets and stuff like that, especially in California.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Gosh, I've done a lot of calls where, hey, we think we have bees, or maybe it's, wasps or something like that. I'll never forget the first time I, came across the bald-faced hornet, and those guys aren't very friendly at all.
Very aggressive.
Very aggressive, yeah. And they had taken over a shed, and the mister had he got into it with them, and he got nailed a few times, and he was in a bad way. And he says, hey, you're gonna go over there, and you're gonna go and try and confront these guys. And I said, yeah. And he says, Godspeed. And I said, well, wait a minute, what are we talking about? What's the deal with these? Are they wasps? Are they what? No, man, these are something different. And when I got there, I realized real fast these are something different. They didn't sound like bees. They didn't sound like wasps. They got a sound all their own. And when you see them, you go, wow, what is this thing?
Yeah, they sound pissed off, don't they?
Oh, yeah, they sound ominous. Very, very ominous. And then when they come right at you, I mean, very aggressive.
And people don't realize as well, Jeff, that they sting multiple times. I mean, it's not just one sting and done.
That's right. Yeah. Not like a honeybee. I mean, sure, the honeybees can be dangerous. You get that sting, it can be bad, especially if you've got an allergy. But the honeybee gets one shot. But these guys, oh no, they can sting multiple times, and and I joke with people, but I mean, there's always truth in every joke, and I say, hey, this thing can sting me, sting you, sting your dog, and then go on and have an ice cream sundae like it never happened. And but meanwhile, we're all injured.
And Jeff, let's talk, because I mean we face the bald-faced hornets and different hornets that are in South South California, and all of California really.
Right.
But let's face it, we are actually facing a potential issue because we've talked many times before. We talk about these invasive species. I mean, we talked about the invasive mosquito that was hitting in California and how dangerous that's been. But we've got another invasive species that is really, it's not, I don't think, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think it's quite reached the California shores yet, but there's a high probability that it will.
A high probability. That's what they're saying. And all of the materials that I've read, and, bracing for it. And this, potentially, I mean, this hornet looks like something that's going to make the bald-faced hornet look, kind of docile. And,
it's a big boy.
Yeah, it's big. It's a big hornet, and it's a mean hornet. And, I mean, we come across, oh gosh, it's occasional, it's rare, but you get areas that have the tarantulas, and you'll get the tarantula hawk. Definitely don't want to play with those. They have a really painful sting. But this guy looks like it might be even worse than the tarantula hawk in that respect. So, it's definitely something to, try to get prepped for and really be on the lookout for because of this. And, it's from what I've read, they definitely have ways of dealing with them overseas. And they've come to, become, part of the norm. But I mean, I always look at it in terms of, Africanized bees. They weren't, normally here. Now they're here, and we deal with them. And, as a result of the Africanized bee, we're suiting up on any, bee service because, safety first. And if they are Africanized and they swarm you, you definitely want that extra protection. But I mean, fire ants, they weren't native to, the United
No, they're
States or
invasive.
North
Yeah.
America. They're invasive and they're not going anywhere. I mean, they've been here ever since they were, showed up, the imported fire ant, and they're prolific. And so I worry that this, Asian hornet, it gets over here, we may have a whole, protocol on our hands to figure out.
It is, because you and I both know as well that, and for those of you out there that are listening that don't understand how serious it is, it's fine. You get a hornet, we'll come and deal with it. And if it's a really bad, nasty hornet, we're going to suit up and we're going to deal with it the right way. But here's the thing, ladies and gentlemen, this Asian hornet, it's a big hornet, and correct me if I'm wrong, but the Latin name for it is Vespa velutina. But it is. And we'll talk about how you'll recognize it in a moment, because it's really important you recognize it. But here's the danger, ladies and gentlemen: it can decimate our honeybees.
Right. That's the problem.
That is the big problem, because we really, without honeybees in the world don't exist. We really need honeybees, right? Honeybees are really, really important to our ecosystem. Now, these bad boys, whilst they can be a massive problem in our homes and our families, these bad boys can get in there. They go for honeybee nests and they decimate. They'll literally rip the heads off. We're not talking the giant Asian hornet that's like a bird.
Right.
We're talking these Asian hornets that they're not the giant ones, but they're nasty and they're big and they go for honeybees and they can decimate. So it's important, ladies and gentlemen out there, that you really get to know what they look like. And so let's dive in and tell them they're different, aren't they? They're different to other hornets.
They definitely do. Yeah, they're much larger. And it's funny you mentioned that, because the honeybee aspect was something else I wanted to touch on. So, absolutely, because we talk to beekeepers out there, and they know things, and they're reading a lot of the same materials that we're reading and staying up on it. And there's very, valid concern on their part, especially with all the hives that they keep and maintain. Because, I've seen the footage of what they do over there. And they go in and they just decimate an entire colony of the honeybee, and they just rip through them.
Yeah. And for no reason. It's not as if they eat them or anything. But,
no.
So, ladies and gentlemen, here's how you need to really get to know them, and you need to get in touch. If you see a hornet like this, you got to get in touch with us at first response. You've got to, because we need to let the local entomologists know as well. If they do land in California, then obviously this is a problem. So what you're looking for here is you're looking for a wasp-like, kind of, but it's much bigger. If you're looking at, if you know what a yellow jacket looks like, well, think about that, twice the size.
Yeah, about twice the size. Yep.
It's about twice the size. It has a black band on it. It's dark, but they're known as the yellow-legged hornet. So,
yellow-legged hornet, yes.
Here's what you need to look for, ladies and gentlemen: yellow legs and a really nasty face. And if you go on our website, we've got an article coming up just shortly, and we're going to put some really big, frightening pictures on there of these boys.
Perfect. But that helps so much for identification. Absolutely. Yeah. And, we're in the information age. That's the beauty of it, is that we can share information so rapidly. And so that does help us stay one step ahead of these potential threats. Thank goodness, because, we really need to be, and more so than ever before, because, these guys are no joke. They're pretty nasty customers. So if we do get them here, we want to try and get out in front of them. That's the goal. And I know that certain counties and everything are organizing a protocol plan. And I know that they want to roll it out to the various different private companies like us. Hey, if you spot this is what we need to do about it, and probably, I would imagine, a good deal of reporting on any sightings, on any, tracking any nests that show up if they do, if it gets to that point, because this could be, like you said, a serious problem to the ecosystem.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think you can find, ladies and gentlemen, if you do see one and you do think it is, and you can get a picture of it, or you can trap one, you can send that picture direct on our form. Just go on our website and go on to our contact form. There's a little upload button there. You can upload that picture and we'll be able to identify that. straight away and be able to take action. But here's the other thing, Jeff, that a lot of people might not think about is that, we think about us getting stung, we want to suit up and everything else, but we're also pet lovers. We're very pet centric. As a company, we always look after people who've got pets. Now, this is a potential danger to pets as well.
Absolutely. Yeah. And that's another thing I was thinking about. We, in some of our areas we've got that are more rural, they not only have the regular dogs, cats, tortoises, maybe some birds that you find, at just about any house, but they've got chickens, they've got horses, they've got, and I mean, if this thing, gets a hold of one of your horses and you have to, load it into the trailer and take it down to the nearest veterinary hospital that deals with equine, yeah. I mean, you're talking
That's
about
expensive.
a big vet bill, and so some of our customers who have horses, they're even asking questions is this barn, set up good? And they're asking about flies. That's the normal thing we get this time of year. They say, hey, is our barn set up good for fly control? Could you take a look?
Yeah.
Sure, I'll take a look. You're a pro, about flies, about their biology, about their breeding, their life cycle, about, different things that you can do to break this cycle. So we're going to ask you, the pro, here's what we've done. What do you think? Do you think this will help us through this, the heavy, thick part of the fly season? I said, sure, these are all great things that you're doing. Here's what I might recommend. Here's what I might suggest. Now we're finally getting some that ask, if my horse gets stung by this thing, should I worry? And I go, well, I don't know. I mean, is he, we don't know if the horse is allergic to that type of venom. We just don't know.
And let's face it, they're not. They're invasive, and it's. I want to say, 2023, they found a number of specimens in South Carolina and in Georgia, and they found them in Georgia as well, and I believe also in Florida. And now you've got, and I mean, obviously people can hear that I live in America, but I'm a Scotsman. I'm from the UK, and there's been a recent warning in the United Kingdom by the government to say you need to be aware of these. The Asian hornet has now reached the UK. So here's the thing, ladies and gentlemen. It may not be in California now, but it's coming. It's coming. If it can reach the shores of the UK, if it can reach in Georgia and basically other areas of America, the Asian hornet is coming to California. And this is a potential problem, as we said. Honeybees,
it's just a matter of time.
It's just a matter of time. So be on the lookout now. This is why we're here. This is why we've got the Pest News, is because we want to let you know so that you can be proactive. And the minute you see something that you might, think, wait a minute, that's a big hornet, or you might think that's a big wasp. Or a big bee, and then really it's got yellow legs and it kind of looks the same. And you'll find that on our article this week. You'll be able to go in and check that and get all the details, which we urge you to do that. So let's get ready, ladies and gentlemen, because dealing with bald-faced hornets, I mean, yes, it's dangerous, but this is a new kettle of fish. This is new. This is beyond the ball.
No easy thing to deal with. They're not very kind. They're not very friendly, and just the footage I've seen with sound, the bald-faced hornet sounded ominous enough, but these guys sound like they mean business.
And it's we don't have the giant hornet at the moment. It was a massive threat last year, if you can remember, because do you remember it was up in Maryland and Virginia, and I think it was up near New York and stuff like that.
The Eastern Seaboard there,
Yeah, they had the giant hornet. Now, obviously, I think we've managed to curtail that because there was some serious research done and even tracking them.
Oh,
but I remember, I don't know if you saw the program. I don't know if it was on the Discovery Channel or it was definitely on a news channel, and they showed what the Asian hornet, the giant Asian hornet, was doing, and I think it was in Japan. And you actually, literally, I think it was nicknamed like a samurai hornet because you could see this beast literally go in and just decapitate the honeybee's head.
Yeah.
And that's the same as the thing that these Asian hornets do. I mean, the giant hornets are big. I mean, it's like a dog, a dog with wings.
I mean, that thing's huge, yeah. And but I mean, with impunity, they go in there. They're not worried about the bees at all.
No. And that's really, really concerning. And that's something. So, um, let's talk about, Jeff, what people
Yeah.
can do to minimize the hornet problem, and not just necessarily the Asian hornet, but the hornet problem. You know,
Right.
everybody should be proactive, right? When
Right.
we tell them
Proactive
they
is
should have,
best.
yeah,
Absolutely. And, I agree. So, if you've got a shed you don't go into very often and it's got a
yeah,
lot of clutter, you want to organize it. That's big. The
definitely,
sheds that we've gone into where there has been a hornet problem that's developed, that's a big one. If you notice, something's starting to grow in your tree and, a lot of insect activity around it,
yeah,
sometimes you'll get the hornet's nests that are hanging from the tree. Looks a bit like a pinata, but don't hit it. That's one piece of sound advice. Don't hit it with a bat. You're just asking for a bad time. But
yeah. You're not
that's
going
the
to get
type of thing. You
you're not
might
going
want
to
to
get
call somebody
candy.
out.
You're
Yeah,
not going to get candy out of it. Yeah,
yeah, you're not going to get any good times out of that kind of pinata. It's bad news. Then the other one too. I mean, of course, a lot of folks aren't aware yet. We've educated a few people just this year alone on the ground nesting yellow jackets. Now they're smaller; they're about the size of a honeybee. But when you start noticing a whole concentration of insects in an area, that's a big red flag. Whether it's a crawling insect or a flying insect, but definitely if it's a flying insect, any concentration of them
yeah,
could spell out trouble. So, if you see a concentration of, even if they're, oh gosh, I'm trying to think, the moth flies, then there could be something going
yeah,
on. If there's a concentration of them around an area around the
yeah,
house, maybe there's a problem with the sewer pipe, and
yeah,
those are types of things. So, I always tell people, and it's just a good rule of thumb. Anytime you see a concentration of a specific type of insect, it's an indicator and it
yeah,
tells you something's going on. It's kind of like a symptom, there
yeah.
to alert you that there's something that needs attention. And identification is key. So pictures help, if you can get a hold of a specimen. But, again, with a hornet, I understand if you don't want to try and wrangle one into a jar. I wouldn't
No,
want to either. But if you can get a picture of it in action, or you can get some video of it, with sound,
yeah,
without sound, doesn't matter. If you want to be safe behind the window and film it that way, totally fine. But get some footage, get some photos,
let us
and
know.
and then yeah, let us know. Reach out to us, reach out to any professional, and say, hey, what's going on here? What do you think this is? And they may even want to come out and investigate, take a look, and say, hey,
Yeah,
I can't make out much from your photos or video, but I want to go ahead and take a look. And the faster you do that, the better you can get to the bottom of the problem. So yeah, with these hornets, I know that clutter is a problem sometimes, especially in an old shed, especially if you don't go there very much.
mm,
We've found it too in one corner of somebody's yard. We dealt with some hornets made a nest, and what it was is an old dead tree, and then there
yeah,
were some shrubs that had grown around it, and
yeah.
in the old like dead tree debris that had fallen off, that was where the hornet's nest was. So if you imagine all these dried up fallen branches, and they were inside the heart of that. So it was a fun one to tackle because we had to kind of advance and retreat until and we're sniping these things out of the air best we can. It's not an easy task. And they're trying to come at us, and they mean business. They don't want to die. So who can
No,
blame them? They're trying to
and
survive.
they're trying to sting you through your Kyvek suit as well.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, a Tyvek suit is not something you puncture easy, but they're trying.
They're trying. They'll do it because
Yeah.
they'll do anything. And I think people have got to also realize that um, spending a little bit now to get it done, to get it dealt with, and being proactive is a lot better than having a big, heavy either vet bill or a medical bill.
Well, yes.
And you have to realize that with the Asian hornets, ladies and gentlemen, they have a different venom.
Yes.
Right? I mean, I'm not an entomologist, right? But
Mhm.
but we understand that the venom potency is going to be different, and probably the makeup of that venom is going to be completely different. So, whilst you may not have anaphylaxis coming from maybe just like a bee sting or another hornet sting, these guys are serious. This is a different potent venom you need to be aware of. So, as Jeff says, be very careful if you can video it. If you want to keep safe distance, but the important thing is to realize that, and you'll know because, like Jeff said as well, the sound is ominous. If you have got it's a
They
hornet.
do. They have a sound all their own, and when you hear it, you'll know. You go, oh gosh, this is hornets. This isn't wasps. This isn't yellow jackets. This isn't a honeybee problem. I mean, if you have enough honeybees buzzing, even that's that's cause for concern because you hear that hum, and it gets your attention. But even that's kind of soothing and respect. It's almost like the difference between like a plane sailing by and a helicopter. And almost they sound like helicopters of the bug kingdom, and but attack helicopters, and it's just you can hear those wings beating, and it's a different shape of the wing. I don't know if that's what produces the sound, the rate at which they're beating those wings, but
it's that deep. It's that deeper kind of.
It's like a deeper thump
in it, and it's like. What the heck? It's like almost. It's like haunted. It's like a scary thing. It's like, wait a minute, this is not good. I mean, you can hear a bee's nest and a honeybee's nest, and it's a lighter vibration. But these things
much lighter vibration. Yeah,
these things are deep. They're ominous, and they're like, all right, seriously, this can cause us some serious shit.
Yeah. I mean, just the sound alone, I think, and maybe that's part of what it is. It tells other animals, hey, you better keep away. You're in trouble if you get any closer. And I think that's a warning, just like we have our rattlesnakes. And, if you get a little too close, you start to hear that rattle and it's like, oh, okay, I understand. You're over there. I'm over here. I'll respect your space and you won't strike me. So, all right, live and let live, Mr. Rattlesnake, and we'll get along fine. I'll leave you alone. Not all snakes give you that warning. So, I mean, at least they're courteous out here if they give you a rattle.
Yeah, that's kind of good warning. Jeff, there's something before we kind of finish off, there's something that I want to talk about because, in America, we're getting lots of invasive species that's coming in.
Lots.
And I've been researching it, and we're developing a whole load of different pieces of content and educational stuff there. But what I'm thinking is that I don't see we've got a lot of international trade, as you know, right? We're trading all over the world,
globally,
right? It's
a lot
coming
of global trade.
Do you think I don't see it? I could be wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong. Are we doing enough? And I'm not talking about political borders here and everything else, guys. Right. So don't get political. But are we doing enough in terms of pest control to protect our borders from invasive species? I don't think we are.
I don't really think we are either. I know that they do try to do quite a bit of things. I know with customs and some of the commercial accounts that I work with when they ship, like for instance, one client who deals in aircraft parts, they send a lot of it in wooden crates, and one of their biggest clients is actually the UK, as it turns out, that they ship these wooden crates to, and as a result, part of what we do for them as a regular service, and they do it as an add-on as well, is they'll have us actually pre-treat these wooden crates on the inside and out for them. And the reason we do that is because it's a requirement, not so much by customs. And that's what I asked the question. I was surprised. Is this a customs requirement? And they said, no, it's a requirement of the receiving company. They just want to make sure nothing invasive is being brought in. And if it is, they're not the ones responsible for it. And I said, oh, gotcha. And he says, because there's a whole thing going on over there with accountability, and they'll track it back to the company that ordered it and say, well, since you guys are responsible for it, here's the bill. And I mean, it could break the company. And so they actually have us. They said, is it possible that you spray these wooden crates with a residual insecticide before we put the parts in and send it on the boat? And I said, okay, yeah, we can definitely do that. I know we're structural, but I'll go ahead and check into all of this and make sure it's doable. And sure enough, it's doable. So we do that for them. And, but if more companies took that step and said, hey, let's prophylactically treat these crates or prophylactically treat these boxes. But then I would think too, on the government level, that customs maybe would require certain things be fumigated or treated with a residual insecticide, or, and that really helps us, avoid these invasive species. I mean, I know when you're coming in they do ask those questions about if you're bringing fruits, if you're bringing vegetables. And again, it's for that reason. There's certain things they don't want, certain fruits, certain vegetables will harbor or bring in invasive pest species. So they're on it when it comes to that, when it comes to food items. But who would have thought a crate of aircraft parts, they would have to actually look at the same way. But I mean, again, you're talking international trade. So it's a good idea.
It is a good idea. I remember back when I was in the army, Jeff, I had, when I was in the British Army, and we had a banana spider that came in a crate.
Oh, those are no joke. Yeah, you don't want to mess with those.
No, well, because and I think this is the same way. And I don't know if it was after the Vietnam War or if it was after World War II. This is how we got the fiddleback spider in America. Right. This is how we got the brown recluse, because it came in from foreign, and it came in foreign crates. And that's how it was actually came into this country. This necrotizing, really dangerous spider. And,
right. You get in the Midwest too. People have them all in their attic, and they're coming down from there, and it's scary.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Again, we could go on and on about bugs for ages and ages, but I'm aware of the time. But we had, I remember I met a guy in Florida. And I said to him, and he was walking up, and I said, "How you doing?" We just got chatting, and he had a bandage on his leg. I said, "What happened to you?" And he says, I got bit by a brown recluse, right?
Oof, that's a bad bite.
He says, "Do you want to see?" And he opened it up, and I'm no joking. The wound was like eating away at the back of his calf. It was crazy.
Man.
Here's the thing, though. That guy lost his business. That guy says to me, actually, he says, I've been in business for years, but he couldn't pay the medical bill that it took to fix his leg. And he actually had to go bankrupt and lost his business. So there's another thing, ladies and gentlemen, why you need to be really proactive with pest control.
Yeah, you can never be too careful. When they say safety first is a major, theme, it really is. It's funny. I watch shows for entertainment, and I'm sure lots of people have seen it, like Billy the Exterminator. And, those of us in the know go, what is he doing? Oh, gosh, this guy. Why? Come on, man. You got to suit up. You're up on the ladder. You're jumping. You're falling. Oh, gosh, man, that's an injury. And it's funny to watch, but then we think, is this how people perceive what we do? Because no, we're actually going to work a lot more safely than that, because we want to go home in the same condition we left. So, but it makes for good entertainment for sure. So I watch those and I go, oh, this guy, gosh, this is funny. I can laugh, but holy moly, But I wonder if people get that impression. That's how we out there working, and no, we're going to be much safer than that. We're going to try to get to the bottom of the root causes of the problems and see what we can do to help that. And like you said, I don't think we're doing enough. Honestly, we could probably step up our game with better protocols on international trade. And we do so much globally now that we never did before. We used to manufacture a lot more here, but now things are moving all over the world. And I mean, the shipping lines are just, going, full throttle, which is great. I mean, we can sell things.
We pest issue.
Import export's great, but when you get the hitchhikers, that's where you want to be a little concerned, because we get these invasive species that just never go away. I mean, the fire ants never going away, and we've seen what that's done to the ecology. So
fire ants came in with the native. Iguanas came in and were an invasive species as well. When our friend up in Miami. And then you've got, and all over the world, and now with the trade, the pest control is a big issue. And ladies and gentlemen, that is exactly how the yellow-legged hornet came in. It came in international trade, and that's how we've got them. They didn't just fly over. And obviously they can get picked up by tornadoes and hurricanes and things, but more or less it's going to be trade. So, Jeff, thanks for coming on. Thanks for let's having a great chat tonight on the pest news. Jeff and I will be back again shortly, and probably next week, with another topic that we must jump into. Right. And this is all about education to keep you safe from pests, and to give you the pest news out there. Jeff, leave a final word for all of your customers and clients and people out there about hornets.
Yeah, I mean, it's really it's a team effort. That's the thing we've got to work on and focus on is we've all got the same common goal. We want to protect our environment as best we can, And that goes from
Yeah.
everything from ants in your kitchen, okay, to
God, yeah.
watching out for these Asian hornets, because you know um, we have to take action sometimes. Sometimes we have to, to eliminate a safety hazard. We have to make
Yeah.
a judgment call on bees, but we want to protect as many of the bees as
Yeah.
possible. If this thing
Absolutely.
comes in and decimates our bees, it's a bad deal for the ecology. So, you see something, say something, let us know, let
Yeah.
any professional know. That's what I would say. If it's not us, call
Yeah.
somebody. But don't just let it fester or get
No.
real bad. And I always tell people, any infestation you're dealing with, it's never going to be less expensive to take care of it than it is right now. The
Yes.
longer that time goes by, the more the costs just go up, because it just becomes more convoluted.
Yes. And here's the thing, ladies, to think about. If you love honey, just imagine if you can't get up in the morning and have honey on your toast anymore. Right.
Right, honey on your toast, honey in your tea.
Let's protect our
Those
honey.
things. Absolutely. Those bees are working hard making that honey, and it's good stuff. And I mean, it's
Yeah.
natural antibiotics. So let's
It is.
really,
It is. It is.
protect
It
that
is.
honey.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us again. We can't wait to come back with another episode of the Pest News. Jeff, nice to see you, brother.
Yes.
We shall get back with another news next time. Take it easy.
Absolutely.